All right, well, today I am in Melbourne, Australia with Dan Clifton from 1300 Temp Fence.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
It's not the first time 1300 has actually been on the podcast. So Bruce Foraker was one of our early episodes, but a lot has changed since then. So we thought we would catch up and just learn a bit more about where the company's going.
Definitely.
I think we caught up at the trade show in Adelaide, and I was walking through and I saw SiteHQ labelled everything around, and I was like, what's SiteHQ? And then I saw your logo there as well, and I had a few questions. So we'll get into what SiteHQ is in a second, but maybe just want to introduce yourself, explain how you first got into the industry and what your role is.
Yep. Yeah, okay. So probably like all of your guests, I've stumbled across the hire industry. So I was living in London in 2008, basically just backpacking, needed a job. A friend got me a job in construction on a multiplex building site for a facade contractor. I had no experience in construction. I just sort of stumbled into it. Really enjoyed it for 2.5 years, and then came back to Australia wanting to work in the construction industry, but didn't find it as easy to, I guess, get into the industry without sort of qualifications and things. So I had a good friend, Anthony McMahon, that worked at Coates Hire, and then the footy club I was a part of, Jared Biddleston and Tony Crotty, were part of that, and they were both senior guys at Coates Hire, so there was a bit of an in there. So I started at Coates as a sales coordinator in 2010, basically entry level, learning from the ground up. Moved into an account manager role in the local area in Brooklyn. Enjoyed that for about a year, and then moved into major projects. So there was quite a good progression through Coates. What I did establish at Coates was there was an event BDM role in Victoria, and I actually studied events at uni prior to going overseas, so I saw that as an opportunity to move back into the events industry and start to use some of my studies. So I eventually got that role after pestering the guys a bit to once it was vacated, and did that for probably 2 years, and then moved over to Harry the Hirer to work purely in the event industry. So I was there for nearly 4 years at Harry's, working on major events, Grand Prix, Tennis Australia, Flemington Spring Carnival, doing some amazing events. Those guys do a great job. Then probably after 4 years was looking for the next opportunity, and that's when 1300 Temp Fence approached me to be their national event manager. They were looking to grow their event business. So yeah, Paul Sass gave me a call and sounded me out just to see whether I was interested, and I met with the guys, and it was a great opportunity to join a nice, I got a really good feel off the owners and the CEO, Steve, when I met with them, and came on board in 2019, just pre-pandemic. Did a full year in events here, and then the pandemic hit. I probably thought I was surplus to requirements at that point because there was no events to supply. I was actually just doing an internal newsletter to send out to the business because everyone was working remotely from home, so I was just trying to do different things to engage people. And I thought after a few weeks of that I'm probably not going to be needed for much longer, and it was that point that Steve asked if I'd move into to run their sales business, their trading sales business. So we're a hire and sales business, which is a little bit unique in our industry. So we hire everything we hire, we also sell to the market. So we sell to competitors, hire competitors. We sell them products so they can hire them out against us, and that's quite an interesting dynamic. But yeah, so I've been doing that for probably 3 years. And really enjoyed it. It's been a little bit different to what I was used to. And
what's your role today?
So my role now is general manager of SiteHQ, which is our sales business. So that launched at the Hire Show in 2022 in Adelaide. So basically our temporary fence hire business is 1300 Temp Fence, and if you want to purchase any of our products, you head over and deal with us at SiteHQ. So the idea with SiteHQ was that we had probably half a dozen different sales brands, Temp Fence Superstore, the Portable Toilet Company, 1300 Star Pickets, 1300 Shade Cloth, different online websites and stores for every business or product category, and we wanted to bring them under one roof and just make it a bit easier for us to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's backtrack a little bit.
Yes.
And go back to the Coates days.
Yes.
So I'm interested to know, when you were working in that construction, you said the multiplex over in the UK.
In the UK, yeah.
So when you first got your job as a sales coordinator, you said, like, how easy was that to transition in from working in construction, or was it still just completely fresh, do you think?
Completely fresh. So you had an understanding of the customers, and you'd been on the other side of the fence, I guess, and dealing with hire companies over in the UK. But yeah, it was a brand new role effectively. So I started off completely green. I think I was probably 28 when I started at Coates, and yeah, it was great to learn from the ground up just how hire business operated, and it set me up well to sort of work my way through the business and the roles I had at Coates.
Yeah, and then Harry the hirer, like they're probably number one, I would say, for events. Yeah,
they'd be close to number one in the world for what they do in terms of the unique products and the structures as their strong suit. Structures and productions probably now as well, with like AV and things. They're doing some amazing things, but yeah, world leading in terms of what they produce. I mean, we're very lucky in Australia to be able to go to major events and have them as the number one supplier, because they truly do unique and amazing things.
Do you know the backstory for the name?
Well, I think so. Rick Jamison's the owner of Harry the Hirer. We went to the hire and rental general meeting, and they were handing out a copy of his book last week, and I started reading it, so I actually do know the answer to that.
Okay, let's get into it.
Because I read it this week. But yeah, so when he was setting up his business, he bought 60 camping tents and was going to just flog them off in the trading post back in those days. And then he got a few inquiries to actually hire them out, and he went to get a business loan, and he needed a business name, and he liked there's a business called Will and the Wrecker. He sort of liked that was quite catchy and memorable. So then he just came up with Harry the Hirer, even though his name was Rick.
That's amazing.
And it's stuck, I don't think he expected it to be the business that it is now. But yeah, it's just synonymous with...
That's so cool that he kept the Harry part in there.
Oh, it is, absolutely. And then his son's name's Harry, but there's no sort of connection there. And but yeah, no, it's quite a unique, and it's memorable, it's...
And you said you went to a HRA meeting, did you say?
Yes, last Tuesday night, actually, yeah.
So maybe just for the audience, like, what's the purpose of those meetings and what happens?
Yeah, so they have a quarterly meeting for members to attend in all the key capital cities and all around the country. So it's just, you talk about things that are happening in the industry, any incidents or things that have happened that people can learn from, and it's just good networking as well with other members. So they actually gave your podcast a good mention, Mark, so you'd be happy to hear that.
That's very nice of them.
It was.
And then speaking of the Hire 22 event in Adelaide, so that's when I first saw the SiteHQ when I was walking around. So maybe we'll get back, so we'll catch up now to where you left off before.
Absolutely.
So just want to explain what's under the banner of SiteHQ now.
Yeah.
Again.
So we hire out, we hire and sell portable toilets, temporary fencing, water-filled barriers, shade cloth, star pickets, portable site cameras, timber hoardings. Basically, the boys, when they set up their businesses, they were really early adopters of phone words and SEO. So by having business names which represented how to contact your business and also what you were offering, they did really well with their Google results and SEO, and that's how the business grew. But what it did, as they kept adding more and more products, we had all these business names. So I think we had 12 at the peak. And when we sort of got to a point where it's getting quite confusing, someone would ring the same person to order a roll of shade cloth. They'd hang up and ring 1-300 star pickets and speak to the same person and order some star pickets. So we're like, we need to fix this. So that's where SiteHQ was born, and we basically came up with the name about 18 months ago, built a highly intuitive website that's still being developed, but is now live. So we wanted to create an experience basically to tailor to the new generation of project managers, where you could basically do everything from your device without having to ring up and speak to someone.
Mm-hmm.
So what the website does, there's quite a bit of, it talks directly to our ERP system. It's also got in the background a freight calculator module. So what you can do is you can go browsing through all of our products, fill your cart with whatever you need. It will then in real time, once you put your address in, it'll work out freight loads and speak to numerous providers and come back with the best possible freight quote based on what's in your cart. Now our freight would be called lumpy or ugly freight, temporary fence panels, pallets of blocks. So it can be very time consuming for our guys to manually work out transport for each of these orders. So this site does it all for the customer. So you literally can order 3 semi-loads worth of temporary fencing and not have to speak to anyone.
Wow. Was that something that you spoke to your customers about and they wanted it, or how did that come about?
I think we identified that there wasn't really anyone in the market offering that full e-commerce experience for our products. So competitors have got online ordering capabilities, but generally when you get to a certain amount of equipment, it'll say you have to call us and organise this delivery. So we saw it as an opportunity to build something that was quite intuitive. We also wanted to save a lot of the human resource that was needed to calculate these, freight movements every day. We wanted to make it easy for our people, so it was probably an issue we were having in our business that we wanted to solve, but we also knew that there wasn't anything in the market offering that.
So what happens? I go to your website. I want to get a truckload of temporary fencing, and I place the order. I put the address in, calculates the freight. Then what happens?
So that basically what happens then, all that our staff have to do is the warehouse just has to click that the order's been packed, and it will automatically book transport with the preferred provider and send it to our warehouse and then get it off to the customer. So there's a freight aggregating program we've got in the background which handles all the different providers and provides us with the different transport quotes, and it automatically selects the cheapest option for the customer. So that's awesome. It's quite intuitive.
So let's dig into that a little bit deeper. So when you first wanted to come up with this idea to build this e-commerce platform, and then to today, like what was the journey? Did you consult externally? Did you bring someone in? Like how did you sort of work through that?
Yeah, so we interviewed quite a few developers and went through a pretty rigorous process to find the people that we're using now to build it. So they are an external agency that's building it for us. Because of the complexities around the freight side of things, the people we've used, they seem to understand what we were trying to achieve. It's probably taken a bit longer than what we thought, just due to all the different nuances of calculating that freight. And then we've got further development where we want accountant customers to be able to log in and get their own custom pricing and things. So that'll all be in the next phase.
Check the history and stuff like
correct.
that.
They'll be able to look at their order history. It'll have all their delivery addresses pre-programmed in. So, you look at some major projects which might have multiple delivery points. It'll just be really easy for their procurement teams to place orders with us. So that was what we want to make it as easy as possible for the customer.
And so what's the directive to your sales reps then? Are they told to still do the same account management or to like recommend customers to use the platform? Like how does it work from a sales perspective then?
Yeah, so our they're out there obviously just they're trying to generate sales and awareness through their customer base. But yeah, at the moment we're sort of directing people if they want to go through the website they can, but also handling things sort of more traditional ways with emails and phone calls. But we want to get to a point where our customers are logging into their account and ordering just regularly and not having to, get put on hold or, send an email and wonder when someone's going to respond or we want it to be sort of instantaneous and really easy.
I think when customers do it for the first few times and they realise that the gear just turns up, then it's like, oh, well, that was easy.
Correct.
And then it's like, it just gets its own momentum.
Definitely.
I think a lot of people are so used to calling and talking to somebody or sending an email and emailing a purchase order or whatever the scenario is. So I think once that trust builds up, it just grows organically.
Definitely.
As time goes on, especially new customers. I was talking to a customer in the US, someone in the US, and they they were looking at all their stats over, I think, 12 months, and they found that a lot of their existing customers are using it, but they were getting a lot of new customers from the website that they've never spoke to before.
Yep.
And so they found like that wasn't something they expected. They thought it was going to be mostly existing customers.
Yep.
So it'd be interesting to see what stats you get from the website and whether it actually expands out to more new customers as well.
The new generation of, project managers and CAs and engineers are, people don't like picking up the phone anymore. Like we're all ordering food on apps and we're ordering Ubers and taxis without talking to people. So I think just naturally that new generation of leaders in our customer base are going to prefer to deal with us via websites and apps and things. So
yeah, that's very good. And then on the higher side, so 1 through 100 Temp Fence is still keeping its brand.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's obviously such a strong brand in the market. So yeah, that'll always be our hire or temporary fence hire business. And that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So that's how we started. That's who we are, and that's what drives our business and what's what everyone knows. So yeah, that'll still remain our hire business, where you'll contact us to hire temporary fencing and water-filled barriers and all of our full product hire product range. But yeah.
And so I'm actually at one of your new premises.
Yes.
Probably not for a good reason. So I heard there was a fire recently.
There was a very big fire, probably 2 months ago now, on a Friday morning at our corporate head office in Derrimut in Victoria. It was about 8:30 a.m. I remember I was working from home and had a call from a good mate who's a senior firefighter, and he said, "Oh, you at work today?" I said, "Yeah, I've just jumped on the computer at home and just doing a few emails." He goes, "Mate, I'd maybe just ring someone from the office and see what's going on." And yeah, sure enough, there was a huge factory fire at our corporate head office and main warehouse in Melbourne. So it was quite an event and quite an experience to try and navigate, I guess.
So maybe let's just build up to the sequence of events. So what were you storing at that warehouse?
So we basically had temporary fencing. A lot of the temporary fencing product and water-filled barriers and things were kept outside. Inside was a lot of our sales products. So we had hundreds of portable toilets on the racks. A lot of empty temporary fence feet. So empty shells, so plastic shells, were all in the racking. Hundreds of thousands of acoustic curtains, rolls of shade cloth. We got a timber hoarding business, 1 through 100 hoarding, which all the ply sheets were stored in the warehouse. Now they're obviously quite flammable. What else? Crowd control barriers. Yeah, just a host of mixture of metal, plastic, and timber equipment, plus our site cameras, which are made of different plastic components, and also lithium batteries, which ended up being the cause of the fire. Which was, it was ignited by a faulty lithium battery that was on a charger. It was next to other lithium batteries on chargers. If people don't understand how dangerous and volatile that lithium batteries can be, that once they catch on fire, they're very hard to put out. The fire then caught. There was some plastic temporary fence feet shells on the racking, as well as portable toilets, and they ignited quite quickly, and the fire sort of hit the roof before we could sort of do anything. So it was quite scary for the people there. There was probably 30 people on site, and a couple of brave souls had a go at putting it out. But then everyone evacuated and got out safely. But
and so everything lost in that warehouse?
Everything within the warehouse was lost. The office was basically untouched because there was a fire break wall, but a concrete tilt slab panel fell on the office, so basically the whole place had to be demolished. So it's just a vacant concrete slab now with a bit of, we're still keeping some hire equipment out there, and we're still operating out of there, but yeah, it's in the process of being rebuilt.
Wow. So in terms of the lithium batteries, were you following standard procedures and charging?
Absolutely, yeah. So we it's very very under-regulated how to handle and store lithium batteries. So the only guidelines are really to keep them out of direct sunlight, keep them off the ground, and keep them out of water and things, and keep them uniformly stored. So whether that's on a pallet or whatever. So they were all stored correctly. But yeah, I personally, I think for what could potentially happen with them, there should be stronger guidelines on how to handle them. So we've actually invested in insulated storage cabinets now, and different charging cabinets as well that are specifically designed. The company's called StoreMaster that we're using we used to procure all these cabinets for, and they're at all of our 7 branches around the country and in New Zealand, to prevent anything like this happening again. So
that's crazy. And so what was the aftermath? What was the next day?
So the next day was a bit of shell shock, and the first thing we did was we were on speaking to commercial real estate agents trying to find another premise. That was the aim of the senior leadership was we need to get this show up and running as quick as we can. So being the corporate head office, there's probably with the warehouse staff, there's probably 70 people displaced. So we had to find somewhere for everyone to work, and so yeah, a few of us leaders were out looking at commercial property on the Sunday. So we actually looked at where we're sitting today. We looked at that on the Sunday after the fire, and then we had some people in our business offered up their homes for people to work out of in the weeks after. Then we hired some temporary office space for about a month or 6 weeks, and our teams worked out of there until we could get everything sorted and moved in here on Mount Derrimut Road. But yeah, it was quite inspirational what people did to band together. We had people there on a Sunday pulling furniture out of the destroyed office, and so we saved a lot of equipment and things. But yeah, it was quite galvanising to see what people were willing to do.
And I guess when stuff like that happens, you can sort of see the culture within an organisation if people sort of stick together and sort of, because that could be something that could ruin the team, yeah?
Oh, definitely. People were scared, and people were, worried about, like, is that it for the business? Like, people that sort of, worked here for a long time and just see their whole business go up in flames. Is it, people are worried about their livelihood, people are worried about their safety. Where am I going to be? Am I working on Monday? It was quite an emotional time, but yeah, people really banded together, and it's a family business. It's got a great culture of, people getting around each other. So, and it just, that underpinned what we were able to achieve. And we were delivering hire jobs on the Monday after the fire on the Friday, which was quite impressive. So
it's crazy. And what was the response from your suppliers and your customers?
Yeah, we had hundreds of people reach out to us, and competitors, do you need trucks to help move? And yeah, like customers were understanding, because there was a disruption to our business. Our sales business probably shut down for probably 3 weeks while we replenished stock. Our hoarding business lost all its plywood sheets, so they were severely affected, and our site camera business had no cameras. So people were understanding. They worked with us, and we're basically fully operational now and fully stocked up. So
that's crazy.
It's gone quick, and it was we had, I think the weeks after the fire, we had 4 or 5 trade shows we were exhibiting at. So we had to just put a smile on our dial and just
because I think I saw you in Adelaide. It was like a week after, maybe.
It was a few weeks after, yeah. So we had to front up at Adelaide and launch our new brand to the industry, and put a brave face on, but we're all still exhausted from that, dealing with the fire. And
it's crazy.
It was
I saw on LinkedIn, I think I saw a bunch of team members working out of someone's house together.
Correct. So that was our office manager, Mel. So she's been with us for probably 10 years plus. She's sort of the heartbeat of the business, and she offered up her house, and I think there was about 10 people all working from a kitchen
Cool.
bench sort of thing. So yeah, those sort of things were great stories, and yeah, it was quite impressive.
So she gets a badge on the wall now, does she? Like some type of...
Oh, she knows how valued she is in our business. She looks after all of us. So.
Oh, that's so good. No, I'm really glad to hear that it came back, because yeah, when I found out, I think I found out the week of when it actually happened. Then I was at the trade show. I was so surprised everyone was there. I was like, these guys just seem like nothing happened. I was like,
yeah,
this is like pretty brave to put that sort of face on and then get through it.
I think as leaders we had to put that face on, and because I think a lot of people were worried, and we were all worried ourselves, but we sort of had to just get on with it, and it was taxing. It took a lot out of everyone, but yeah, it was good. It was something that you learn from, and we're still dealing with the fallout from it. But we're pretty much full steam ahead now. And
so the advice you would give to other people that are storing and charging lithium batteries is to invest in the right storage, you would think?
I think just sense check what you're doing. Like have a look at what you, because everyone, I guarantee every business, every person who listens to this podcast will have a lithium battery on a charger at home or in their workplace. So it's just quickly assessing whether you do need to invest in something a bit more robust, or just having a look at where you are keeping your batteries, and make sure they're tested and tagged, and the chargers aren't faulty and all that sort of stuff, because they are very dangerous. So.
Yeah, I think we were talking about before the podcast when there's videos like Tesla's catching on fire and they just stay on fire for like 24 hours.
They do, yeah. And my friend who's a fireman, he said you can't put them out. You just have to create an exclusion zone and let them burn out. Which is crazy. Quite scary, because we're all probably going to be driving battery powered cars in the next 10 years. So
or hydrogen.
Or hydrogen. So
have you seen the generators that come out? I
did
at the trade show, that massive white one.
I saw
Blue Diamond.
I think Kennards have invested in them. Yeah,
they bought the first couple.
Yeah, so that's interesting for sure.
Yeah, I'm super interested to follow that journey, because it's a pretty. They've taken a massive step investing in a new technology stack for power. It still uses lithium batteries.
Yep.
But of the power source is obviously through hydrogen. But that was pretty impressive. That generator. That was like taller than me. I'm 6'5". And we need some innovation. Like I think diesel powered generators have been around a long time. So I think it is time. Particularly with the price of diesel, it's probably becoming more affordable to look at these alternatives, and it's exciting to see what I think just in general, the green energy and wind farms and solar and that is grown legs over the last 5 years. So definitely. And then talking about the Hire 22 convention, how many shows have you been to?
I've been to, so that was my second one. So our sales business, 50% of our turnover is other hire businesses. So it's quite a unique position to be in, where you're competitors in one arm of your business, or your key customers in the other. So it's quite an interesting dynamic. But that the hire show was the perfect vehicle for us to launch SiteHQ, because of that, hire companies being our biggest customers. And the reason being is that we import about 500 or 600 containers of equipment a year. And a lot of companies don't have the resource or the time to, develop the supply chains with China and or wherever you're importing from. And whereas we've got an in-house team that do that every day, so that they get to benefit from our suppliers and efficiencies we've created over the years. From we've been importing for probably 12, 15 years now.
Yeah, it's experience.
Yeah, so it is good. I think we provide a good service to the industry in that regard, and that they make it easy for them to get their products and things. So
well, you actually were awarded Supplier of the Year.
We were, yes, which was quite an honour. It was quite unexpected. We actually weren't there to receive the award.
Oh no, one of those people.
Which was a little bit embarrassing for us, but we're truly humbled to have been awarded and recognised. We're a pretty down to earth, simple business. We just want to, just an honest, company, and just be easy to deal with, and with sort of no frills. And it was quite a great recognition within that, particularly that core industry of the hire industry, to be recognised. So.
And then you said you've been to 2 of those events now through the Hire Rental Industry Association. So what do you typically get out of those events?
Oh, I think it's the networking's great, just to be around other businesses and within the same industry, and talking to suppliers and things. And I think they put on a great show. There's plenty of socialising and late nights, and it's it's just great to come together and I don't think I'll miss one from this point on.
And you were talking about potentially getting involved in the mentoring program.
Yeah, so I've put my hand up to be part of the young professionals network. I just think to personally just, I guess, hopefully add some value to someone, but also learn off the mentee as well. I think it's good to put yourself out of that comfort zone and take some time to spend with someone outside of your own business and network, and also understanding the younger generation, I guess. Like, I don't think I'm that old, but it's, I understand now that, that younger people within business, deal with things a different way. So it'd be good to understand what makes younger people tick, and hopefully add some value with my experience.
And then coming back from the UK from your overseas trip to then today, where you're talking about mentoring someone from the next generation.
Yeah.
Like, is that something that you ever saw yourself doing, like going to that career path?
No, absolutely not. And it was funny. Like, I probably didn't think when I put my hand up to be a mentor, I probably didn't know whether I was worthy. Bit like being on this podcast, to be honest. But I don't know. I'm always looking to grow myself and put myself out of the comfort zone a bit. And I think, and it was quite when we had a Zoom call last week, and Aileen said she was glad that I joined to be a mentor, and I sort of got a bit out of that because sometimes you don't sort of appreciate what you've done and can contribute, and your experiences and things. So it's
It's strategic alignment training.
It is, yeah. So they do a lot of work with the hire and rental industry. They do a great job. So it's good to be involved. I'm looking forward to getting into it.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's learn a bit more about you. So who do you think has played a big influence on you so far in your career as, like, maybe a mentor?
Yeah, so early days when I was at Coates Hire, Jared Biddleston was my mentor or my manager, and he was I sort of learned a lot off him. He was a great relationship guy. Like, he was great value socially, but also just very structured with how he operated as well. So I learned a lot off Jared, and that's probably a stronger suit of mine, is that social side of networking and relationships, and that resonated a lot with me. So Jared was definitely an early mentor. Similar thing at Harry the Hire, I worked through a guy called Hayden Munro, who'd been there for probably 10 or 12 years, and his network was is phenomenal, and he just knows his customers. They're all his best friends just after years in the industry. So it made me realise that relationships is extremely important. And then there's another guy, Mark Davies, who's the CEO of SpaceCube, who I spent a bit of time with. He sort of mentored me sort of outside of my current, outside of Harry's, and he was a good sounding board and gave me some good advice just on how to grow my career and things. They're probably the three that.
SpaceCube, what do they do?
So they do. So they're big in the event space. So they do like a 6x3 sort of container sized modular structures. So they do multiple corporate facilities at the Grand Prix and major events, and they sort of go head to head with Harry the Hire a bit. So they're probably definitely more event focused, but making some waves definitely in the event space.
Yeah, that's nice. And so, if you could maybe go back to when you were living overseas, what advice would you give to yourself?
Probably stay another year and enjoy yourself. I've got 2 young kids now, so it seems like a long time ago. But I think that experience sort of set me up. I'm glad I did it when I did, and got to experience the world. And because once you get into your career and your family and things, it's hard enough to find a minute to take your wife out for dinner or meet the boys to watch the footy sort of thing these days. So I think enjoy yourself while you can, and then you sort of know when you get to a point to knuckle down. And some people get too serious too early. I think you should enjoy yourself, find yourself, have your experiences, and then sort of find the career that suits. And
yeah, and I think like I got pretty serious when I was probably in my mid-20s, and then I sort of realised that I wanted to go overseas, and I knew if I kept on progressing that I just would have kept on working as hard as possible, and so
yeah,
I ended up just quitting and just travelling overseas, and it was like the best thing ever.
Yeah,
it's just so good.
You got to do it because you're right. You get too bogged down with things, and well, that work-life balance. Everyone always talks about it, and I've had moments in my life where I haven't been able to find it, and you're not spending enough time with your family, and it's really important to really do the things that you enjoy, because there's no point working hard and never enjoying yourself.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about so I just had my first kid, Joshua. He's 9 months.
Congratulations.
Which has been amazing, but we're just chatting about it, and it was like kids, like they don't care about how much money you spend on them, they care about your time. Like the time is the currency that they want, and if you forget about that, like time just goes by. The next second they're 10 or they're 18 or they're 20, and then you sort of just forgot. And then but I worked here and I did that, and it's like, that's nice, but
well, that's it. Yeah. I said to my daughter last summer, we had a crappy little blow up pool in the backyard. And I said, I'm sorry, darling, one day I'll be able to afford to get you a proper pool. And she goes, what do you mean, Dad? We've got a pool. Like she was just stoked that we were out in the backyard, hanging out together. So yeah, you sort of kids are the great. They're just honest, like there's no
too honest sometimes.
Well, correct, but there's no especially if you ask them what you look like. But so that was a like I'll never forget her saying that. It sort of made me think, just you don't need all these things. You got a beautiful family, and that's important, and everything else is just
How crazy is that? But like, how old is she? Sorry,
she's 4 now. Yeah,
a 4-year-old can have an influence on someone with just those words. Like,
oh, definitely. Yeah. It's just because it's just coming from a purely innocent place. She's got no motives. She's just having a ball in the backyard and a little Bunnings blow up pool. She wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So
that's so good.
Yeah.
So then how did you manage the split between like not committing too much to work and making sure you got a bit of a balance there?
Yeah, I think it's taken me a long. Like I only said to my wife on the weekend that I feel like we're finally getting to a point where we got the right mix, because you can get too bogged down. So I won't work when I get home from work. I'll bath the kids and hang out with them and wait till they're in bed, and then I might do some work later at night. And then it's a couple of days a week, just come in a bit. Then this business is great for work-life balance and family, so I just make sure that I'm there a couple of mornings a week, and then weekends are swimming lessons and heading to the park and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just, and then you got to make time for your wife and partner, and it's a juggle. But yeah, I think you just got to make, and the email can wait till tomorrow, and things that you think are important can, if you get to it the next day, it's not going to be the end of the world. So
yeah, no, definitely. I think the email waiting till tomorrow is a big one. Like I feel like I used to think that like if I sent that extra email out that everything would be amazing tomorrow, and it's like nothing actually changes.
There's going to be 100 more tomorrow, mate. Exactly. That's just what happens, And
it's just part of the process.
Yeah, and you got emails arriving on your phone. Your watch is telling you've got an email. Like if I take a day off, I take the mail app and move it to the back of my phone where I can't easily access it and things like that, just to try and switch off when I'm on leave. And so because I remember working on my laptop when I was on my honeymoon, and my wife looked at me like I had two heads, and I said, "You're right. I probably need to just concentrate on my honeymoon rather than writing emails."
I think I was doing work on my honeymoon as well.
Yeah, it's and when when it's a job you love and a career you love, it's hard to switch off. But
no, that's it. So then, finally, how do you define success?
Success, I think if you enjoy. It used to be a money thing, but I think if you enjoy what you're doing, the money's irrelevant.
Until you get that blow-up pool, yeah.
Yeah, correct. Until you can afford a bigger blow-up pool. So yeah, I think if you're happy in your life and your family, and and you enjoy coming to work and the people you work with, it's that's success to me. I don't need I don't need a mansion as long as we've got a roof over our heads and we're happy and healthy. I think that's success for me. And I've got a big friendship group. Maintaining those connections and are important to me, and family's very important as well. So just making sure you make time for not just your immediate family, but your mum and your dad, your brother, and everything. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, Dan. Well, thank you for coming on the Rental Journal podcast.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Mark.